Welcome to Financial Investing Radio, where you'll learn the secrets for consistent, high-probability returns in the financial markets for additional income to change your life. Grant applies consistent, high-probability trading systems for the financial markets. He's only recently started sharing these tried and true market secrets. As a gift to listeners, Grant is offering his roadmap to high-probability financial control. Go to financialinvestingradio.com and download yours today. Now, here's your host and trading veteran, Grant Larson.
Everybody, this is Grant. Welcome to another episode of Financial Investing Radio. I've had the opportunity recently to talk to a range of people, from doing real estate work, real estate investments, to my last episode before this was with an options trader who's extremely successful at what he does. I love to see the consistency in the themes, right? The patterns that emerge of solid, sound behavior that leads people to become experts in their specific fields. I think that, when you consider achieving our aspirations, right, to give or to help others, or to, be able to bring joy into other people's lives, that's a critical objective for us, regardless of what kind of financial roadmap we might be on or might be using. To me, when we're able to, positively influence others in our community and in our lives, we experience a joy that, to me, it's tangible, right? That when we feel like we've impacted someone else for good. Growing our financial footing can certainly increase the reach of our influence and also, in our ability to help others. So there is some ability, or there's some correlation between that, right? Having a financial footing where we have enough self-reliance that we're in a position that now we can help and benefit others, that's a really key principle. And in fact, often the route looks something like this. Number one, we become financially sufficient. And number two, we become financially free. And then number three, we are in a position to make community and even generational impact. I believe that each of us have an innate desire to give, right? We want to be of value. We want to be able to help impact other people's lives. In fact, I was looking through some things in my journal recently, and I noticed that with people that I've met with that have been going through difficult challenges, maybe their health was, taken from them, they weren't able to do things, a common phrase that I saw was that they make statements like, I feel like I'm no longer able to give. Now, the amazing thing in even those situations is those people are still giving. They're still teaching by their tenacity, by their endurance, by their love, by their good examples, right? Not giving up, if you will, right? That their spirits, if you will, aren't broken, but they're continuing with hope and faith as best they can. So even without finances, I find that people are able to give. Now, let's talk about each of these three here for just a moment. Let's talk about what does it mean to be financially sufficient. So we may have each developed skills, right, that allows us to earn money and provide for ourselves and even those around us. And often, though, we feel the need to increase that our financial foundation, right? We've got a desire to grow that. And I understand that. But also what I've seen is it's a critical characteristic at that stage, to be able to feel gratitude for what we do have. So financial sufficiency or self-reliance, right? It's critical to have gratitude for the things that are already there. Now, here's the second step, right? If we go from being financially sufficient to financially free, one of the things I really admire about this is, you're able to be at a financial position where, you don't worry as much about how am I going to survive financially on a daily basis, right? But, obtaining the finances without a higher purpose can feel empty. If it's just about the money, then I think it loses the real flavor and spice of life, because I really think we're meant and intended to be involved and engaged in each other's lives, to be doing good for each other. I've heard some people liken the impact of, someone getting a lot of money to that of a bullhorn. In other words, the more money you have, then the louder you can be. And you certainly see that, right? You're able to see situations where, hey, if you got a lot of money, you can be really loud, right? And get your voice out there, no doubt. But one of the things that I find is that having gratitude and inner qualities is such a critical matter, even if you're financially free. So the moment that you lose that, then suddenly I think you become less free. Now, the third key step that I mentioned in here was around community and generational impact. And I think that this is a key driver. It's a rationale for us pursuing financial growth, both financial sufficiency, financial freedom. We need these things. Now, I think that generally we think of this in a linear manner, right? We often think, okay, first I become financially sufficient, I'm able to provide, then I become financially free, then I go make my impact, my community, my generational impact. But I actually view this as more as an iterative process. It's more like a spiral staircase, right? Where all along the way you're going from, okay, I'm at this level of financial sufficiency, and I have gratitude for where I am. And then I increase that sufficiency and I grow and I become more financially free, which expands my abilities. And then I use that to impact a wider and a wider range and net of people as I do that. Here's the key point. I think that some of the greatest people that have impacted the world have had very little money, but they've had sufficient. They were grateful for what they did have. They were financially free to accomplish, right, their objectives, and yet they used what resources they had to benefit their communities and their families and others, right? So I think this perception that I've got to wait to make my big community or my generational or family impact, I got to wait until I have money. It's, a lot of money until some other point in the future. I think that's a fallacy. I think we can be and should be giving all along the way. And so the trick is to enjoy the journey along the way, right? It's to see the journey as a chance to use our increasing or maybe even decreasing resources as a way to still improve and impact the lives of those around us. Now, establishing the roadmap to increase one's financial freedom and the generational impact, that is a wonderful journey, but it's a journey that happens daily. And the impacts are given daily and not at the end of our lives, right? Or not at the end of the journey when we think everything is pristine. In fact, there's something amazing about someone who's coming from just a position of just barely sufficient. They just barely have enough to survive, and yet they're willing to give and share and impact and improve and benefit other people's lives. That's a really powerful message. And in fact, it's one that the stories that we love to read and hear and we see that people do for each other. So the key is to continue to increase and grow our financial sufficiency, our financial freedom, and our ability to reach a broader and broader, a wider and wider group of people. But let's not miss the fact that we do this all along the way. So we start where we are right now. We start making the impacts right now. Everybody, thanks for joining. And until next time, let's do two things. Let's use our resources to do good along the way, and let's set our goals to increase our impact for good.
Thank you for joining Grant on Financial Investing Radio. Remember to subscribe and leave feedback. Don't forget to download your free roadmap to high probability financial control before you make an investment decision. Visit financialinvestingradio.com now.